Welcome once again to Power Hour for 2021, a new year. And this is the first Power Hour for 2021. We don't have one in January because, of course, we have our lovely Australia Day barbecue in January. I see many familiar faces who were there. A couple of changes to Power Hour for this year. Of course, if you're a member of AustCham Macau, congratulations, you got here for free. Last year it was for free. This year we have a small little charge for non-members of 100 mop. So if you are not a member and you'd like to sign up to be a member, it's only going to cost you $1,400 instead of $1,500 because you'll save your 100 mop next time you come in. So please, if you do want to sign up to become a member, if you're not, find Sharon, who is here somewhere, or maybe just outside. Another little change. Last year we were broadcasting the videos live. We're still shooting video, but it will be uploaded to the website and the Facebook group probably Friday or maybe Monday. And we already have a very exciting list of speakers for our regular Power Hours for 2021 on the fourth Wednesday of each month at 6:30. I think we've already got over half a dozen planned, so the year's filling up very fast. One thing that is not changed is that at the end of Power Hour, being an Australian event, we like to have a little drink. So after we've finished at 7:30, if you'd like to head on down to the St Regis bar, we'd love to meet you down there for a drink. And without any further ado, I think that's enough for the intro stuff. I'd like to welcome Sam Power, who's going to talk about commercially sustainable aquaponics microherb farming in Macau. So please join me in welcoming Sam.
Thank you very much. This is a bit full on, isn't it? All right, so happy to be here. As he introduced me, I've got It's Pure Production, which is the first local aquaponics commercial microherb farm. As you can see up here, it's pretty colourful, and I don't know, I'm going to get on with it. Does anyone know what aquaponics is? Like most people I ask, everyone knows what hydroponics is, but basically I've taken hydroponics and I've added the next step, which is fish and water. So with hydroponics, I went to the Macau government and I sat down and I asked for an application to fill in so that I could start building this farm. And I just got a blank look because no one had ever done it, no one had tried it, or people had tried it so that, well, now that I know, but no one had gone far enough to actually get it done. So the last 14 months, me and my wife have done a lot of paperwork, a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls and managed to work our way through to build and construct and on top of that finance, this great company. So simply, it's Macau's first commercial aquaponics farm. We basically just wanted to create something that's more sustainable, more eco-friendly. My profession before this was actually a chef. I've got 20 years experience as a chef. 5 of those were in Macau, and then the last year has pretty well been going into building this farm. And at the end of the day, I've ended up with a 2,200 square foot warehouse that has fish that the waste in the water goes and feeds my microherbs. And it's fantastic. So aquaponics, it's an ecosystem of plants and fish farming. So as I've got here, it's much like hydroponics system, but it's better. Basically the fish in the tank I feed, the fish waste, which is ammonia, goes through my system. So I've got a whole series of filters, and it essentially turns nitrite into nitrate. Nitrite will kill the plant, nitrate will feed the plant. So this is why it's better than hydroponics, because I don't have to import chemicals, I don't have to put these chemicals in the water that's going to go into the plant, which can cause all sorts of other problems. I don't need pesticides, I don't need herbicides, and it's 100% natural. So at the moment, I don't have organic certification, but my whole process is organic, and eventually I'm hoping to be able to call myself organic. So I've got a little clip here. So this is basically the aquaponics system. As you can see there, I've got an RO filter. So the municipal water goes through that, and the RO water goes into here, which has nothing in it, and then the fish waste goes into that water, and that'll go through into the first holding tank, into the second holding tank. It'll go into the first filter, which basically takes the lumps out, as you say. It'll go into another holding tank, which will go basically through another 4 series of filters. And this all needs to be done, as I said, to turn nitrite into nitrate. So it's all very complex. Some of the tanks you've got to have aeration, other tanks you don't. You have UV lights that are going to kill all the microbes. So I've got to have all this set up, so at the end of it, it goes into this container here, and that's where the microbes do that last step of just basically switching the compounds of the water, which will go into the plants that, you know, going to make it grow, going to make it into something that's the end product. And so that's the last bit there that you'll see, which I have to keep, you know, the pH has to be on 6.2, the temperature has to be on 22, and the parts per million has to be around 200. You know, you go too low, the fish die, you go too high, the plants die. So it's been an interesting, as I said, 14 months trying to work this out, because me being a chef, I sort of knew little bits and pieces about it, but I've had to do many late nights of, well, I'll say a lot of YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that can teach you all about how to do this. But it's one thing to learn it, but it's another thing to put it into practice. So sadly, I have lost 2 fish over the last 14 months, and that's from the pH and the parts per million going too high. Where do we go to? Next one. Okay, environmental benefits of aquaponics. So this is a big part of why me and my wife wanted to do it, because you know, coming from Australia, coming from Mildura, I'm used to having fresh produce. I'm used to you know, being able to go down the road and go into a farm and pick something that's seasonal, or go down there and get whatever else is available, which just doesn't happen here. And so many times I'd be in the kitchen, and you know, a new shipment of whatever will come in, whether it be fruit, vegetables, and especially micro herbs. And I know what I've paid for, I know what the casino's paid for it, and I know what's going to get thrown straight in the bin. So straight away there's wastage. Straight away that means that the price of what's left has actually gone up, because there's only a little bit left. And I couldn't work out why this had to happen. Why did it have to come from South Africa? Why did it have to come from Australia? Why did it have to come from France? And at the end of the day, it didn't. I managed to work out a way, or my wife and I did, there was a way to make this work in Macau. And again, the biggest one was the bureaucracy, trying to get here and trying to you know, make the IAM department understand that this is something that's, you know, it's good for Macau, it's good for the economy, it's good for you know, making a greener image, and it's definitely something that I could take to the casinos, because we're a PR's dream. You know, basically we're green, we're eco-friendly, we're fully sustainable. We've got a product that does not exist in Macau, and it's readily available. And you know, we're an SME. We tick all the boxes. So we knew that we could start it up and get somewhere with it. And COVID has slowed us down, but I'll get down to that in a minute. So as it says here, you know, we're eco-friendly. Aquaponics only uses 10% of the water of normal farming. We don't use soil, we use coconut pads, and that means that basically all the nutrients in the water can run through our system. Whatever comes out the other end, I loop it back to the start, and it just keeps running. So none of the water goes down the drain, it's all going into the plant. And any of it that does go into evaporation goes into our humidifiers, which also goes back into our system, which goes back through the whole filtration, and it's just self-sustaining, as it says. We don't need fertilisers, we don't need pesticides. I'm a fully enclosed warehouse. I control the temperature, I control the humidity, I control the lights, I can control everything in the whole system. The majority of our waste can be composted. You're only left with the coconut mat and whatever herbs, they can cut them fresh, so there might be a little bit of root mass left. And all casinos now have, your composting units down underneath there somewhere, and that can all go in there. And the big factor is that microgreens are 40 times more nutrient than their fully grown counterparts. So basically one little handful of microgreens will equal eating one big bowl of salad, say. So the health benefits are absolutely amazing. They've all got their different ones. They're vitamin A, B, C, D. Some are good for circulation. Some are good for what am I trying to say? Diabetes. Can reduce all that side of things. Good for the heart. Good for all-round health. It's just it's an amazing product. Our lights are LED. We don't use any single-use plastic. That's the big thing that we wanted to do at the start. We deliver our product in a plastic tub, and when we deliver the next shipment, we take that tub back. So it's just on a rotation system. Because, as you know, a big part of everything now is don't waste, don't throw stuff in the bin, don't do this and that, and a big part of it is plastic. So we don't have single-use plastic anywhere in our system, which is a little bit more expensive, but at the end of the day, it's a huge benefit, and we want our brand to be connected with, that. We want to be known for caring for the environment, and especially in Macau where there's so much consumption, there's so much waste. So as I started to just touch on there, we've got full control of the environment. So I can control the temperature and humidity. I've got 2 big air conditioners that I alternate so that they don't blow up. I've got specific timing for the lights. They turn off at 11 o'clock at night and they turn back on at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, I'm essentially just creating the same as they're outdoors, the daytime, and then the night time they do all their stuff that they need to do at night, and then it's back light on in the morning and they keep growing. And vertical farming. So I've got huge racks that have got 8 layers on it. So instead of just having like this full of herbs, I can stack it up. So I'm getting more yield at the end of the day. And that's definitely a benefit here in Macau because land here is so expensive. There's no way I could buy a piece of land and grow micro herbs on it and make any sort of money. All right, so we'll get down to the processes, but first, what have we got here? Advantages. So this product, when I deliver it, it is still in the coconut mat. So when I deliver it to the chef, I just let them know that they can put some water in the bottom of the container, and it can actually stay in the cool room growing for 10 to 14 days. As long as they put it in the cool room though. I've had some chefs where I get there and they say, what's going on here? And I say, well, where is it? And it's out on the bench. So if it's outside, it'll keep growing and, it can go yellow and it can get all bitter and crappy and they throw it in the bin. So the reason that they put it in the cool room, or I tell them to, is that 4 to 5 degrees will completely stop the plant growing. It will stay where it is, and it also stops the moisture so that they're not getting any mould. So that's a big benefit. Which at the end of the day gives a longer shelf life and reduces waste. All right, so about aquaponics. So as I was saying, I'm vertical farming, as you can see there. So I've just got the racks with the lights. I can turn all of them on and off separately as I need them, if I've got plants under there or not. So the big part of having it on the coconut mat is that it's hygiene friendly, because in soil, it's not allowed in a commercial kitchen because there's so many, different microbes that can be growing in soil which can create different illnesses if people eat it or if it gets on something. So from the start I thought, well, I'll do it on cocoa, or coconut coir it's called, but it's coconut mat, which is the coconut husk. It's pulled apart and then it's just basically pushed together with, they've got different types of tree gum, but it's all natural, 100% food safe. So that's what I've gone with from the start, and it's working beautifully, and I won't change from that. What else? So vertical farming, the benefits of that, it's a sustainable method of agriculture. It greatly reduces water consumption. So the water's not going in and then it goes into the soil and then it seeps through to wherever it's going. The water goes exactly where I want it. You know, I've got some herbs that only take 200 mils of water. I've got other herbs that will take 500 mil of water. You know, that's just been a process that I've had to learn over the last 12 months, but I've pretty well got it perfected now. You know, it saves considerable space and soil. It maximises return on space and, again, eco-friendly. All right, so I do everything in the farm. I actually import my seeds from America because they're the only... I found two companies that were the only two companies that IAM would let me use and that they would approve because they're the only ones that had all the certificates that IAM wanted. I'm sure you all know that you've got to have certificates for everything in Macau, and these were the only two places in America that ticked all the boxes. So at the moment, that's where I get it from. The seeds come in, I do the seeding, the germination, the cultivation, the harvest, and the whole aquaponics system all within my facility. Nothing has to go out and get done and come back. It's all indoors, done from start to finish, packed, and then delivered. And not only delivered, but it's delivered by us. I don't outsource any delivery company, so it's direct from my call room to my van to the kitchen. So I know exactly where it's been and that it's gotten there that same day, which is, you know, the first time that's been available. You use the other companies and, as you know, it goes from wherever to the plane, on the plane to Hong Kong, sits in Hong Kong. Sometimes it sits on the tarmac, you know, for a whole day before it gets to Macau. So same-day delivery has been a very promising thing over here, and the chefs love it. All right, so seeding. As you can see, I've got the coconut, and then I've got the black plastic tub that I put the coconut mat in on top of the rods. Now, the reason I have to use rods is because if the mat sits on the bottom of the tray, you get mould, plus the water sits there and goes stagnant, and it comes up with all sorts of problems. So I just put the rods in, put the mat on top, and that way the water can move around, air can get under there, and it just keeps everything fresh. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. Then it's in my germination area. And so the germination, you know, that again needs specific temperature, it needs specific humidity, so that's in one section of my warehouse, and I can control all of that, and it's got to be in complete darkness. So I've got the lids that I put on top, you know, and again, it's just been a trial and error sort of thing. I put the seeds in there, I put the water in there. Some seeds need to be sprayed in the morning and night. Some seeds only need to be sprayed in the morning, and you know, at the end of the day, it comes out with the product that I'm looking for, and it's well, it's a pretty nice product. So this is the wall where I do the germination. So as you can see here, I've got the tubs on the wall. That's one of the black trays. It's not the best lighting on here, but you know, you look in there, and then that's about 3 days. So that's only an inch tall. And you know, the different herbs grow at different rates, but essentially that's all it is. I've just got the tray in there, pull it out, lift it up, have a look. Sometimes they need a spray, sometimes they don't, and that's where they sit. Usually it's about 4 days for most of them, except for leek. For some reason it needs 7 days, but 4 days pretty well gets the germination process done before it needs to go over under lights. And then I've got my stainless steel table here, which is where I do all of my seeding. That's where I pull out the trays every morning and go through each pad, make sure there's no mould there, there's nothing going wrong. If there is, I've got to move it or throw it in the bin, or try and save it. And most of the time I can save it. Right, cultivation. Again, it comes down to the different herbs. So some of them only need 4 days under lights. Again, some of them need 8 days under lights. And then you get onto further things like shiso or lemon balm, and I've got to be 30 days under lights. So it's a huge difference. So I've tried to keep to the 2-week cycle at the moment. And so everything that I put, I've got a time, so it all comes out all together, all the different herbs on the one day. So, one day I'm planting your leek and your peas, and 2 days later I'm planting daikon radish and maybe some Triton radish. Then the next day maybe arugula, and then they're all ready at the same time on that last harvest day. So, yeah, I grow everything in the black tubs, and one black tub will equal 2 of my delivery tubs. So these are the ones I deliver in. As I said, no single-use plastic. That just goes and gets delivered. When I deliver the new batch, I'll take the empty one back. And, well, this is the end product. So as you can see, arugula, leek, radish, tendrils, kohlrabi, mizuna mustard. These are the most popular ones. When I was working in the kitchens, these are pretty well the main ones I'd use. So when I first started, it was only going to be the hardy, easy-growing ones to start with. Once I established that, then I can move on to different herbs, more delicate herbs that fill my portfolio, which are usually things like this. Nasturtium doesn't travel very well, so that's a really good seller. The basil and the wild radish, very delicate. They can be also very frustrating because they can be beautiful one day. I'll go home, I'll come back the next morning and the whole tray's dead. Not so much now. I've pretty well worked all that out because that's all come down to temperature. But yeah, at the start that was so frustrating. Getting there in the morning and it was like just a lucky dip opening up and praying that it's going to be okay. But I've pretty well got a handle on it now. And the hardest one has been, I don't know why I've got amaranth written up there, because it's actually red vein sorrel. So these two are opposite. So the one bottom in the middle, that's a red vein sorrel, and that's been the hardest one for me to get right, because red vein sorrel likes soil, and it only likes soil, and it only wants to grow in soil. So me trying to put it on a mat has been near impossible. But I've moved a few things around, and I've put basically a sheet of coconut and then the seeds and then more coconut on top, and tried to make it go through there and make it think that it's growing in soil. And I've managed to get it there. And, at the end of the day, these herbs are used on the plate. And this is what the chef wants. That's what they want, and that's what they want to put up there, and this is what they want to make it look like. So you've got the one over on the far right, you've got nasturtium. In the middle, you've got your red vein sorrel, and you've got your pea tendrils. And then on the left here, you've got all sorts. You've got your amaranth, you've got some arugula in there, and I think there's even some green shiso in there. So, it's a product that's used in every outlet. When I first did it, I was only aiming at using it for Western outlets, and I had no idea that actually Chinese outlets use as much as they do. But my biggest surprise has been the Japanese outlets. Japanese outlets, they have their Japanese herbs, but since I've been presenting this product to them, and they know that it's local, they're going mad for it, and it's been fantastic because they've pretty well kept me afloat for the last 10 months. They're my biggest clients at the moment. And it's good to have that sort of support, especially locally. And these are all the little local Japanese outlets in Macau and in Taipa. They've been fantastic. Again, you can see that they're using all the different herbs here. Right, punnet versus grow tubs. So basically, what's already been available in Macau has been this one here. So I don't use punnets, I don't use plastic. I just keep it in the tub, and pretty well 16 of your standard punnets is equal to 20 punnets in my tub. So at the end of the day, I've got bigger tubs and I've got no plastic, and I've got a product that lives longer and it's delivered fresher. And still I don't understand why some outlets don't use it. Anyway, that's not for me to decide. I just keep trying to sell it, and I keep trying to push it, and I keep trying to do everything I can to educate procurement. Procurement, they're a funny bunch. And my wife, she never had anything to do with cooking or hospitality or procurement or anything in her life. And when I first signed up and got all my accounts going, because I was doing other things, I put her phone number everywhere. So she was getting these phone calls from procurement, and she was getting so frustrated and angry. Now my wife speaks Portuguese, and she speaks Cantonese and English. So she can understand them, and she knows what's happening, but she can't understand why they can't understand us. You know, it's so frustrating. So procurement, she's had a bit of a crash course in the last 10 months, but she's now settled down a bit, and I've had to tell her, you've got to keep it clean and keep it nice, because at the end of the day they do decide, and if you frustrate them and annoy them, they'll just cut us off. And so she's been pretty good in that area. All right, so now on to the next phase. You know, we've pretty well established what we're doing, our micro herbs. I only showed 12 of the herbs we're doing, but I've actually got 26 herbs in my portfolio now. Because, as I said, I started with the basic ones, but now with the communication with all the chefs, I know exactly what they're using, what they want. You know, I've got some outlets where I say, look, you're going to change your menu in 3 months for the next season. What do you want? And then I can order the seeds, I'll bring that in, and I'll start growing it for them. And they're loving it, you know, because they've never had this opportunity before. It's always just get on the computer. Hopefully the code is in there for the other competitors. They'll order it, and then they hope that it arrives in good condition. And most of the time it doesn't. And the big one's been lemon balm. Lemon balm you cannot get in Macau. You put it on a plane, and it's something with the altitude. As soon as the altitude hits lemon balm, it just dies. You can order a whole box of it and pay about 800 patakas, and you'll probably throw 80% of it in the bin. So that's one thing that's I'm very happy with, because I can grow it beautifully here. So phase 2, I've already started doing wheatgrass. So phase 2 I've started. Wheatgrass and lettuce I've only just planted now. Now the wheatgrass was mainly I want to aim at doing for breakfast buffets. As you know, you can do wheatgrass and you can juice it up and have the little shots, but it's also beautiful looking, and it's also something that if I had the opportunity to do it in Morpheus, I would have loved it on my breakfast buffet. You know, it's just in the middle there, and then just little bottles of wheatgrass beside it. You know, it's fantastic. So I'm just starting to grow that now and see who I can sell it to, but of course we need tourists back here, we need people in the hotels. We need people staying overnight and people that are going to go in and have a breakfast buffet, if it's even open in any of the casinos. And the other one is the lettuce. But the thing with lettuce is it can take 3 months to grow. So my micro herbs I've got on a 2-week cycle, so turnover is very fast. Something like lettuce, it can take 2.5 to 3 months, and from what I've read, it's also very frustrating, because just towards the end it can die. So you can put in all that work and, you know, get it just about there, and then you'll come in the next day and it's done. But you know, it's not scaring me. I'm still going to do it anyway. And I've already got a lot of requests for that, so we'll see how we go with that one. So I've got a little bit here. So with lettuce, you have to do in this system. So it's basically the NFT system. So the water's got to come in, and it's got to go along the drain down into a bucket at the bottom and be recycled the whole way. And that is just how lettuce needs to be done. It can grow in soil, but like this, it just needs continuous running water to go under the roots, and that's how you get your best result. So that's something that I'm working with now, and then I missed that other bit. The other bit I'm working with is light spectrum. because the herbs that I grow are on a 2-week cycle. The UV light will last for 2 weeks. If I want to go any bigger, I need the different spectrum of light, which is essentially just the wavelength of lights. So I've got the purple and red ones here. So again, over here I'm doing things like cilantro and beetroot and basil to try and get them from that 2-week period to the 6-week period, which is, well, what we call true leaf. So microgreens is the first 2 weeks. After that, when you've got the next leaves growing out the top, that's called true leaf stage, but that's where you need the next spectrum there. Righty, what have we got here? Right, phase 3. So this is where I want to get into edible flowers and mushrooms. The reason I haven't started edible flowers yet is they're also a minimum of 3 months before they're ready to go. And I've never done it before, and apparently it's hard, but you know, it's another thing that I'm going to try and I'm going to get through, and I'm going to have the best edible flowers in Macau. And the other one is mushrooms. Mushrooms I was going to do, then I wasn't going to do, and then I was. But I've been reading up on it lately, and I didn't know this, but the mushrooms are like the opposite to microgreens. So microgreens will take in the air, it'll punch it back out, as you might say. Mushrooms do the same, but they do it opposite. They're taking in what the microgreens are pushing out. So now people are starting to have a microgreens farm here, and then next door they'll have the mushroom farm. So basically they'll pump that air into the mushrooms, and then they'll pump the air from the mushrooms into the microgreens. And then it becomes, well, a bigger ecosystem in a sense. So I'm only just starting to order all the equipment for that now, and I'm only, well, I'm still a little bit away, but I'm still trying to get the warehouse next door, but I've also got my wife saying, no, we don't want to do that yet, because of course that comes with more expenses. I've got to pay rent, I've got to pay all sorts of things on top, but it will happen. And then this is the dream. You know, this is baby vegetables. Now I keep thinking, is it possible or is it not possible? But I don't know. I'm a dreamer, and I know things can happen, and I know that things only happen if someone's got the drive and has the ambition and the means. Now, like I mentioned before, I can't buy land here or rent land here because it's too expensive. So I can't have soil, and then again the soil, if you do that, you've got to go through the washing system. You've got to have a whole nother license to grow and then put through a system and then be able to sell. So my concept is to grow baby vegetables in aquaponics, which has never been done before. And I've got a few ideas, and some of them might be working, but I'm going to do it, and it's going to happen. And at the moment, I'm hoping to have it by the end of 2022, and I believe I can have it by the end of 2022. So I'm hoping to be not only the first in Macau to have that, but maybe the first in the world, but we'll see what happens there. And yeah, it's very interesting. But again, for that, I'm going to need another warehouse. So at the end of this, I'm going to have 3 warehouses, which is going to be even more expensive. But I think it's going to happen. All right, effects of COVID. I had this idea to get this farm going in 2019. About July, I started thinking about it in 2019. So COVID wasn't even on anyone's radar. It might have been on some people's, but certainly not anyone here. So before COVID, you know, we were set up. We were getting ready. I was applying for the license. I was getting my warehouse. Come October 2019. I'd already signed the lease on my warehouse. I'd already started paying a construction company to turn my warehouse into basically a box that I could work with. And so I was already pumping money into it. And this is my money. The Macau government has never done this, so they weren't giving grants for this type of thing. They weren't giving rebates for this type of thing, and they're still not. So I couldn't turn back. I was already putting all of my savings into it. So me and my wife sat down in, well, it was about March 2020, and it was a pretty heated discussion. And it was making the decision, do we continue or do we just pull the plug? But we decided to continue, and we're very happy that we did, because we continued, we got it all set up, we got through all those barriers, we've had a lot of setbacks, but we've also made a lot of headway. And we've also come out the other end with the first licence in Macau to do this, and we've also come out with well, we're very happy with ourselves, I must say. We've done something that everyone kept saying we can't do, and we've done it. And the effects of COVID, they've done things that I never even thought possible. We didn't, not that I didn't think possible, but we didn't consider. As I said, we've got 2 suppliers in America that supply our seeds. So of course, when COVID hit there, as everyone watched the news, they went pretty nuts over there. So you got all these people that have, they already had their bunkers, and they already had their bunkers full of food, and they had their guns, and they had all their ammunition. They started buying all the seeds because they thought the economy was going to shut down. They thought all this stuff was going to stop. So next thing you know, where I could go on and buy my seeds, I just picked that and that. Slowly they started saying not available, not available, not available. And within 1 month, from where I had full, I could pick anything I wanted, it got cut by about 70%. Next minute I knew I could only get about 30%. So I ended up ringing the boss of this company that supplies the seeds and explained my whole situation, what I'm doing over here. Very nice guy. He was about 75 years old. He was a funny man. He should have retired, but the seed company was his baby, and he wasn't going to let go of it. And so I managed to get a good rapport with him, and he managed to understand what I'm doing here. So I told him exactly what seeds I wanted and what I'm doing here. So, we worked out a deal, and so within about 2 weeks of me not sleeping, I was able to sleep again, because he managed to work it out that he could get all the seeds that I needed and sent them over. And so now we've basically got a standing order, which is fantastic. And then following on from that, we've got suppliers in China shutting down. So I've got to put things like calcium and iron into my water, all food safe, natural stuff. That again, IAM, I've told I'm using this company, they're giving me this product, and next minute I go in there to order and it's shut down. And I can't even find this anymore. I ring the phone number, it's dead. I do an email, I'm getting nothing back. So now I've got to find another company to supply the same chemicals, the same inputs that I've got to put into my water, but I've also got to find a company that's got the certification that IAM are going to accept and then bring it over. So I've got to order it, I've got to bring it to Macau, I've got to put it in my system, I've got to grow one crop, I've got to then send a water sample and an end product to Macau analysis and detection. I've got to wait 2 weeks for a result, send that to IAM and to see that they're going to approve this company. So instead of me just finding one, right, yep, next day I'm on, it took about 5 weeks to get the okay from IAM. And it was just insane. But I couldn't do anything about it. I had to do it, and that was the only way I could do it. So now I'm back on top again with that. I found a company that's not going to shut down, hopefully. Touch, is that wood? Not really, but we'll go with it. And, who knows what's going to happen. But at least now I've got other backup companies. I've got backup companies for my seeds, for my inputs, for my coconut mat. And obviously the business plan. When we started, I was only aimed at the main casinos. It was like, right, I'm going to deliver 20, 30 cases there, 20, 30 cases there, bang, 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 and that's me done. And that's not the case now. They've shut down a lot of outlets. They've got to cut the budgets everywhere, so it's always the first things that you don't need. It's the little pretty stuff that goes on the top. You don't need that now. And that's what happened. So I've gone from aiming at only the casinos to now chasing local restaurants. So instead of me thinking full, I can just do 5, 6, 7 deliveries a week of that many. I've got about 40, I think it's 43 local restaurants now. So instead of me spending 1 day of deliveries, I probably spend 3 to nearly 4 hours a day in the car delivering. So it sucks, but I have to do it. I've got no choice. It's the only way I've stayed above board, is just 1 case here, 1 case there. I'm going to Taipa to do 1 case, and then I'm going into San Malo, which if you get a Friday afternoon and they ring up and they want a case, and I'm pissed off because they've rung up on a Friday afternoon but they need it, and that's when the traffic is crazy in there. It can take me 45 minutes to deliver one tub. And, but at the end of the day, I have to do it. You know, it's the customer. I can't say no. I'm building a company, and again, it's my money I've put in, and I'm going to make it work. You know, and then on top of that, there's other obstacles. You know, we only deliver in our tubs. So I remember the first time I went to Galaxy and got there to the receiving dock. I've shown in the tub, and they're like, well, where's the plastic and where's the label? I'm like, no, it's the tub. And they're, but what do we do with the tub? I'm saying, you take the tub, I'll pick it up next time. And they're like, but we're going to lose the tub. And I said, no, you're not, because it's in the contract. You're going to pay 50 patakas each tub that you lose. So next minute there's a problem trying to explain that this is how it works, that they send it, the tub comes back, and then we rotate. So then for the first few times I had to take my wife, so she speaks Cantonese, and she explained it, and you know, we got over that hurdle, and now that works. There we go. You know, we also want to go paperless, but you can't go paperless here because everything has to have paper and everything has to have a chop. So I'm still trying to work out how to do that. Yeah, chop, insane. Even one of the places, even to go and pick up my cheque, I have to take my chop to pick up my cheque. And it's crazy, you know, they've got my account, they've got everything, and the cheque has my name on it, but I still have to have the chop to pick up my cheque. And anyway, these are things that I just have to deal with. I'm in Macau, that's just the way it is. And then the final one that I've really struggled with is workers. I've applied twice for quotas and I've been rejected twice. One, because we haven't been running for 2 years. Two, because our first year had nearly no sales because of COVID. And three, because there was nearly no sales, we weren't really paying taxes. So they're looking at all this stuff and basically thought we were just a dodgy business trying to get quotas so that we could sell these quotas or put our workers somewhere else. And so it's literally only me and my wife. We do the paperwork, we do the sales, we do the planting, we do the harvesting, we clean the warehouse, we clean the tubs, we deliver, we do everything. And it's getting a lot harder, you know. Our business is going up, and I don't get much sleep now. And I'm just trying to get quotas. So now it's getting to the point I'm going to have to hire a local. But as you know, locals want more money, and locals aren't very reliable. And locals, that's another story. Even just working in the kitchens, they're the lazy ones, you know. I do. I don't mess around. So, sorry if I've offended anyone there with that, but that's just the way I've seen it. But you know, I've got a couple of people that are local, which I'm interviewing now, which hopefully they're. At least I just want a delivery driver. If someone can do all the deliveries, I'll be happy. So that's been the hard thing, is finding someone that's local, someone that's motivated, and number three is the hardest one, someone that's got a car licence. They've all got motorbike licences, but I need someone with a car licence. So if anyone knows anyone, local, car licence, that's willing to work for not much, I'll take them. Right, nearly there. So basically, at the end of the day, there's a positive outlook for Macau. You know, it's a sustainable aquaponics vertical farm in the heart of Macau, the first of its kind. It's you know, offering local production. It's promoting innovative techniques. You know, I'm already talking with IFT. I actually spoke to Hans today. I didn't even realise that anyone had the green Michelin star in Macau. So IFT have got the first one. He's hoping to go 90% local by the end of this year. So as soon as he heard about my product, you know, that was only last night, and I was there this morning talking to him. So I'm already doing that and hoping to get in with the final year students there, teach them, give them a tour of the farm, also at Master Macau University. future, and it's definitely going to be a positive for Macau. So there's nothing, there's not really much of a downside to it, which I don't think there is any downside. And that's it. Thank you. 45. Very good.
Well, first of all, Sam, before we go to the audience with some questions, I think the first thing to say to you is congratulations. Well done. It's
Thank you.
The Macau government's always talking about diversification and all talking about all sorts of things. And as you say, you're ticking a lot of boxes there, which is absolutely fantastic. And I really like your attitude of, oh, yeah, I'll do it somehow. So that's fantastic. Anyway, questions from anyone?
Competitors in Macau? I mean, people doing the same thing.
There's one other company, Mighty Greens, but they do it on a different scale. They're not doing it commercially, they're doing it more of an educational thing. Like they go to TIS school and teach the kids there. They work with Blissful Carrot and put on workshops. But we're actually in discussion now. We're trying to work out how we can work together, because there's no use having competition. Macau's big, but it's small. And so we're trying to work out some sort of plan where we can work with each other. That he can help on the basically that whole side thing of teaching, and then our facility with the license and with everything, we can be the funding side. So we're still trying to work out how to do that, but definitely I want to work together with you.
And then you said you'd lost 2 fish. So how many fish have you got?
I've got 3 now.
Only 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
You only need 3, I know. When I first started, I thought I'd need about 40 fish, maybe 50, because I look at all the pictures on the YouTube, and they've all got huge tanks and they're full of fish. But then I found out that they sell those fish, and so when I put that to the government, they again looked at me blankly, and basically, if I want to do that, I've got to have another license. So that might happen down the track, but for the moment, I've just got to focus on what I'm doing. But yeah, I've got 1 fish that's probably this big, and I use koi fish, but they're local. I don't need certificates. So 1 this big, that's Bobo, and then I've got two little ones that I only bought 4 days ago, and they feed the whole farm. It's amazing.
Okay, and then the last one. You talked as though you've done all this yourself. Have you had to engage a consultant at all to set you on the right track?
Well, I've had a few people come and go along the way. I had one guy that right at the very start that I was sort of working with, but then he lost, not that he lost interest, he ended up getting another job that was very full-time, so he sort of left it, because we were going to go into partnership. So he went and did that job, and then I continued on doing it. And then I had another guy that was helping me at the start to do the setup, who done it before, and he'd done little backyard jobs, and he actually had a little system in his house. So he was giving a lot of tips and helped with the actual first initial production and the design of the place, which was fantastic. But then again, he's not a local, and then he ended up getting kicked out of Macau, and he ended up back in Wales. A little disappointing, because it would have been nice to keep him on, and also have more people working. But yeah, COVID-19 has really upset everything. At the end of the day, we are a business, and we do need to run, and we do need to make money. But yeah, it would have been nice to keep him on, and also a few other people. But yeah, people have just been fired left, right, and centre.
Okay, thank you.
Where do you get your coconut nut from?
I get it from Vietnam. Yep. So Delta coconut. So yeah, that's a place. Well, they were the biggest company that I found. There are places that do it in China, but they were using industrial glue to put it together. So when I sent off that first sample to Macau analysis, it came back with big red nose. And it was this place in Vietnam was the only place I could find that they used natural coconut and natural gum to put it together.
the lab for testing all your minerals.
That's a Macau analysis and detection. So a local company.
Can I have the name because I need it?
Well, it's called Macau analysis and detection. I can give you the phone number and email
Yeah.
after this, not a problem.
For what do they do?
Well, they analyse anything. So
Ah.
they've got a form that covers anything. So I have to get my product, put it in a sterile bag, and then I've got a form. You can test for anything.
Uh-huh.
So, I have to test for heavy metals. I have to test for all the food allergens.
Lovely.
I have to test for any bacteria that might be in the water. So I've got to cover everything.
Oh.
Even now, I've now got to put COVID, even though COVID, well, they haven't had any cases where it's in food. And that sucks because that means I've got to pay another $800 per item. So,
Oh.
$800 for heavy metals, and there's 4 of them I've got to test for. 3,600. And then I've got to do the 3 main food allergens. So there's, I'm already up to 7. And then I had COVID, so now I'm doing 8. So
Very expensive.
6,400 every month just to test so that I can get a pass from IAM to sell.
Do they do the soil test?
Well, I don't have the soil, it's the coconut mat.
Yeah, they do the same thing. It's the same lab, yes?
Same lab, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they test for anything. So anything you need tested, they'll do it for you.
Macau analysis
Analysis and detection.
and detection. Where is it?
I'm
Okay.
not even sure.
Probably I asked.
He goes and delivers that. And somewhere down near the Red Market, there's just
Okay.
a little office there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And there's also in Must, Macau University of Science and Technology, they've also got, you can ask this guy right here, he'll tell you all
I
about it.
see. Okay.
Yeah, so they've also got a detection.
Yeah.
Well, this is the good thing about AustCham Macau. We're becoming very commercial now. We're swapping networking business information, and I believe we've just become a recruitment company as well for you, which is quite good. So we really are becoming a chamber of commerce. We've got time for one more one more short one. Is there one more short one? Yep.
What's the cost and how does it compare to imported? If the commercial kitchens were importing this, what's the cost comparison? And just an add-on, will we be finding this in the supermarket soon?
I'm putting it in the supermarket. I'm already talking to Johan and Supreme. I don't know if I'm going to put it in any of the smaller ones yet. I've already got it on goodies over there. See the man at the back. I want to do it that way also. As I said, I do have it in the tub, so I finally found little containers that are, again, 100% recycled and eco-friendly. So now I can sell by the pad instead of having to buy the whole box. And so that'll be available soon, I'm hoping. And what was the first part of that question?
Just what's the cost comparison if you were importing it compared to buying it locally?
Like coming cheaper. If you go, well, there's 2 main companies, I can name them, and if you order from them, you need to order 14 days in advance to get it to arrive. So if someone's got something going on, they need to order 14 days minimum, and by the time it gets here, whereas me, you can ring up today and I'll deliver tomorrow. So chefs love that because they're always getting last minute VIPs or last minute functions. So that's where I'm really getting it good there. And the cost, I just keep an eye on their costs. If they go up, they can go up. If they go down, they can go down. But I've gone for pretty well just under their cost, and I just do it across the board. Not paying $300 for the peas and then $600 for the sorrel, which is expensive. I just do one cost, like that, or that. And again, they love it. So I'm cheaper.
All right. Well, I'm sure there are many other questions, and if you do have any more questions, please feel free to join us for a drink afterwards. I'm sure, Sam, if you have an opportunity to come down for a drink at the St Regis bar, then we can continue the question and answer session there. But we are very strict on finishing at 7:30, so you can have dinner. And we'd just like Sam to give you a little certificate to thank you for coming today. So.
Thank you everyone for turning up. Good turnout.
Oh, I think you'll all agree that was very fascinating, very interesting indeed. So, such a pretty green colour, it just draws you in, doesn't it? We've only got a couple of minutes left, just a few things to let you know about. On the 8th of March, Monday the 8th of March, AustCham Macau will be joining with our very good friends Brit Cham, and we'll be doing an International Women's Day lunch. So if you got the marketing information about that, please come and join us. It will be right here at the St Regis in the Astor Ballroom, and all the proceeds from that will be going to the Good Shepherd Sisters to support the welfare of women and girls. We're going to have our very own Janet McNabb moderating that all-female panel. So that will be very interesting. And well, boys are most welcome. Yes, of course. Yes, I'll be there. And I'm very delighted to announce that Power Hour 9 next month will be Professor Brian Tomlinson, who is sitting with us right here. Professor Tomlinson, you might remember, was one of our little panel at our December Power Hour when we had a little panel of review of this year and review of last year and preview of this year, and it was a smash success. So we've invited him back to do a full session on his own, and he will be talking about COVID-19 vaccines and misinformation on treatment. So that's something that applies to us all. So thanks everybody for coming, and if you've not got time for a drink, we'll see you next time, and if you do, we'll see you in the bar. Thank you very much.